Hey, what's going on, guys? So last night we got a huge reveal and a ton of information on Mortal Kombat 1. WB Games invited out FGC content creators and IGN and GameSpot to NetherRealm Studios in Chicago to play their new game mode, which is called Invasion. It's kind of an RPG inspired game mode, and they also got to play the prologue and the first chapter of the cinematic story mode, which left us Mortal Kombat fans with tons of questions because the prologue is very telling and it gave us a lot of information on the game, the tone, and who the big bad is for Mortal Kombat 1. So in this video, I'm going to unpack everything we saw in the prologue in the first chapter and kind of decipher what we can expect from the story of Mortal Kombat 1 and where the franchise is going from here. So hit that like and subscribe button. It really helps my channel grow. Comment down below, tell me your guys' thoughts on the prologue and the chapter 1 story. Now let's get after it. The prologue is probably the most important piece of information we got about the new era. It opens up with what looks like old man Shang Tsung attempting to sell a cure-all elixir to some humble villagers. He claims it can cure everything, even Tarkat. And since we now know Baraka and Melina's bio and kind of what Tarkat is, which is an incurable disease,
it will turn us all into bloodthirsty monsters.
So when he mentions Tarkat, you can see that it really grabs everyone's attention. This was until he is outed by a previous customer who lost his daughter after using one of Shang Tsung's false elixirs. So Shang Tsung is still his deceiving, manipulative old self, only this time he is a failed snake oil salesman. If you're not familiar with what a snake oil salesman is, it's pretty much just a deceptive salesman that sells you false anything. And he wears makeup and a wig to appear to be old. But later on that evening, while taking off his disguise, he is visited by what looks to be Kronika. Hold on. Kronika? I've been discussing with other creators and Mortal Kombat fans, and you're going to tell me you're going to bring back the easily worst and most hated Mortal Kombat villain in the entire franchise? Which kind of begs the question, why would the writers want to double down on a villain that not a lot of people like? Well, I actually have an explanation. Hear me out. I believe although she was literally torn apart in the previous timeline, she may have never technically died. My theory is that she is always tied to the hourglass, and its existence relies on hers and vice versa. Perhaps this time around, Kronika does not have her full power, and remember, Shang Tsung was the original creator of the crown.
Have you wondered why Shang Tsung knows so much about my crown?
Because he did your bidding, gathering souls to fuel it.
Shang Tsung is far too modest. The crown is his design. No one, save me, knows more about its power.
And although she knows of his probable deception, she needs Shang Tsung to create the crown or carry out her plan to regain her power and do away with Liu Kang. And if this really is the Kronika of the past, you know she remembers what happens before. And this could possibly mean a new loyalty dynamic from Shang Tsung. Perhaps this time around, Shang Tsung is truly loyal to his superior rather than only serving for his own personal gain. I say this because we have to remember this is a new era. This very well may be a brand new Kronika or even someone else. I mean, she never actually says she is Kronika, but let's be honest, it's definitely Kronika. She has the face, the demeanor, and the same voice as she had in the past. But my point is that although she wasn't very liked in the past, this new era could bring in a very interesting villain to the stage. I just hope they don't keep doing the whole time travel thing or bringing back people from the past timeline. Although I love the previous games, I really want the game to move forward. I want decisions and consequences to actually mean something, and time travel just completely takes that away. So back to the conversation between Shang Tsung and Kronika, there is one thing she says that is very telling.
And you were meant for more. To live among kings, not peasants. But since before you were born, you have been conspired against by those who fear how formidable you could become.
This tells me that Shang Tsung was allowed to live in this pathetic existence by Liu Kang. And one thing I have been saying for a while is that perhaps there are some things that are just outside of Liu Kang's control, such as the existence of all these villains. Because if Liu Kang had wanted complete and total peace, General Shao, Shang Tsung, Kronika, Reiko, and all these villains of the past would have never been able to exist. So since Shang Tsung does indeed exist, Liu Kang has made it so that he lives this life that is not very fulfilling, and to make sure that he never gains any sorcery or any kind of means of manipulation as he's done in the past. Well, this all is going to change. But on a side note, I really like the whole Kronika redesign that they went with. This looks way more fitting towards Kronika, especially if she is lacking the power that she did have. And also Shang Tsung's like new backstory is a really great start to where he came from. And as we saw in the announcement trailer, he has a really, really good design for later. I'm really glad they went with the more younger Shang Tsung for the start of the game and the start of this new era. So moving on to the first chapter, we start with Raiden and Kung Lao working the fields of their home village. Right from the start, we see the relationship dynamic between the two friends. Raiden is the content villager who wants to live a subtle and quiet life, where Kung Lao longs to leave the village and live a more adventurous life. It's a great balance between the two in a much different dynamic than Liu Kang and Kung Lao. In the past, Kung Lao was always Liu Kang's inferior and played as more of his sidekick and confidant, whereas this time around, Raiden and Kung Lao are much more like brothers and equals, with a bit of a friendly rivalry between the two of them. So after a friendly competition of who can harvest the most crop, they go to Madame Bo's to eat, where we get the tea house stage, our first fight, and we are introduced to Madame Bo. Now personally, I really hope that Madame Bo is not replacing Bo Rai Cho. She seems to double as their martial arts instructor, which was the original role of Bo Rai Cho in the previous timeline, but I really hope she is either the wife or brother to Bo Rai Cho, because dude, you cannot just leave him out of the new era. So after the boys finish eating, the Lin Kuei enters the tea house. Now, this to me was very confusing at first, because under Sub-Zero's bio on the website, the Lin Kuei are a centuries-old warrior clan whose sole purpose is to protect Earthrealm from exterior threats. But when Smoke approaches Madame Bo, he tries to force a protection racket, making the Lin Kuei look more like the Mafia rather than a warrior clan. So after numerous fights and some hilarious hints at Kung Lao's future abilities, the chapter just ends. But there are some things I want to point out. When Raiden and Kung Lao are walking through the tea house, you can spot Liu Kang sitting down at the table. Now, if you remember in the gameplay trailer, Liu Kang appears in the tea house, as well as Johnny Cage's mansion, and saying,
"Today, you have proven worthy of joining us. Come. There are other champions I must gather."
So if they have just proven themselves in a giant, overly destructive fight, that tells me that this entire thing was planned out and it was all just a test, which honestly is a bit excessive because I really hope Madame Bo is okay. So although it was short, the prologue and the chapter were very telling. I mean, we got to see Shang Tsung's backstory, Kronika returns, hopefully she is a better villain than she was in Mortal Kombat 11, and we also got to see the friendship and relationship dynamic between Raiden and Kung Lao, and you know, the whole fight and everything inside the tea house. But still, a lot can be found within the prologue. I mean, we see Shang Tsung, his origins, and why he is the way he is, and it was Liu Kang's doing. So he automatically kind of has a new purpose as to take down Liu Kang. In Kronika, if it is the Kronika from the past, she has like an incentive to take down Liu Kang, and I really hope that this is, you know, kind of a new Shang Tsung dynamic too. I just don't want characters from the old timeline brought back into the new timeline, and the characters that exist now, I do want them different. I want the story to continue forward. That's what I really want. But in the first chapter, we get to see Raiden and Kung Lao and their dynamic. I was really hoping that Kung Lao is the new champion. It seems like Raiden is going to be the new champion, but yeah, we'll see how, you know, it goes. It's only the first chapter. We don't know. We will see how things play out. But it was a great prologue, and it was a great first chapter because it builds up what is going to be the theme and the setting and how things are going to be. We haven't quite gotten the doorway to adventure yet, but I think we'll see that in, you know, chapter 2, or when Liu Kang finally appears and says, hey, that was just a test, come with me, we're going to go to the Shaolin Temple. Because we have seen already that the Shaolin Temple, Kenshi being there and Reptile and Atra says we need to go to the Shaolin Temple to get your training. I think that's where everyone is going to go to train. So we'll see how that goes. But comment down below. Please give this video a like if you liked it. It's going to really help with the algorithm. And until next time, shred out.